The next test I want you to work on is the one that says Remote Access Diagnostic Test. So when you open this, it says students will take the test from home, and so I need you as a test coordinator to read this information, and there's the link there. Then you're going to share this with your principal, and then discuss with your principal the procedure of disseminating this information to teachers, and teachers will have questions on this. Your school will need to work with parents and students to make sure that they know how to take the diagnostic test remotely. All right, so let's go to this remote access. I'm going to click on it, and notice it says the following provides information regarding how students' parents will access the test remotely, and please read the information in this document carefully. All right, so you can click on this link, and it'll open it up in it will open up a PDF, or if you want to, you see this magnifying glass right here. If you just click on that, it will just place it here, and so you don't have to open up a PDF. Now, I just want to say this before we go on. This is from the State Department, so this is from LDOE. I want you to notice right here, it says this. So teachers must let me see if this is it. All right, so teachers must assign the online audio text to speech feature when they create a test session for the student. Now remember, teachers don't create the test session. You as a test coordinator will create the test session. So there's some language in here um, that you may need to remind teachers that they do not do that, that you do that as a test coordinator. Okay, so remember, you create the test session. All they do is give the test to the student, and then go to educator scoring to score the test, or to grade the test. Okay, all right. So let's go back to the top. So this document should be used to administer the LEAP 360 assessment outside of the local school building, and the specifications and instructions are below. Now, the diagnostic tests in EDR, we're really asking that it be completed within the first 15 days. 15 days of school. Now, we know that things arise, so if you need more time, that's fine, but try and complete this diagnostic test within the first 15 days that student starts instruction. Okay, so they talk about device setup. Um, Now, in order to access the LEAP 360 diagnostic assessment, the student will need a computer, and most of you have distributed a Chromebook. The latest version of Google Chrome must be used, so the student would need to download the latest version of Chromebook by clicking on this link. Teachers will need to make sure that students did do this, especially the students in grades 3 or 4. So that's where having a discussion with the parents become important, because the parents would need to do this for the younger students. And then they need at least, so make sure you read 4, 5, and 6. In a Chromebook, we should have this done as well. So the Chromebook should have at least 2 gigabytes of RAM memory, a screen size of at least 9.5 inches, and a screen resolution of this size. So reminders: users should verify the computer or device works for the online tools training, and by users they're talking about the students. So remind the teachers that one of the things they need to do during that first week is to have them go to the online training tools. See, we're still in that first check. So the directions for accessing the online training tools are included under student training tutorial section of this document. So let's go there. Let's go there quickly. So it's right here. So if they so the online training tools tutorial, so using Google Chrome browser, and it's important that they know they have to use Google Chrome, no other browser. The students would click on this link, and then it brings them to this, and they're all familiar with this. You are familiar with this, teachers are familiar with this. um, Now the new teachers may not, so you're going to have to work with the new teachers to show them what this is. Now, see, there's a bunch of online training tools here. What the one that the LDOE wants them to use is the one that's under the banner, the LEAP 2025 practice test. So this is one they're going to click on. So they would just click on this, the students would click on this, and then whether depending on the grade that they're in, so if they're in grades 3 through 8, they would click on this, and then they would click on the specific um, test that the teacher wants them to practice with. So that's the online training tools. So that's what they're going to use to make sure that that the student can access the Leap 360 diagnostic test from home on the computer that they are using. All right, so that's one of the things that the teachers will need to work with students at the beginning of the school year, students and parents, depending on the age of the student. Okay, so then let's go back to that second check mark right here. So these are the reminders. So students who have an individual accommodation plan or an IEP may have accommodations enabled prior to test administration. So remember, before you put students into a test session, you need to make sure that you have enabled their accommodations. Otherwise, like the text to speech, it won't start reading for them. And since we're doing this remotely, it's going to be even more frustrating for you and the teacher to get all these things fixed. You're not going to be in the same building to where you can communicate very easily with each other. So you'll be doing this remotely. Okay, so teachers must, so again, that's you, not teachers. So teachers going to see this and they're going to be confused. So remind them that that is you that's going to assign the online audio text to speech feature when you create a test session for the student. For the online audio text um, text to speech feature to work, the computer must have speakers or headphones. So make sure that the students with the IEPs for text to speech or online audio, that they do have um, a computer that either has speakers or headphones. So these are all things that teachers are going to have to work with students and parents with. Um, okay, so let's talk about accessing the test remotely. Once a test session is set up by the school test coordinator, and it says or teacher, it's not the teacher, it's you, the student should receive a notification with details, including a date and time for testing. Prior to testing, parents and students should read through the instructions and familiarize themselves with what they expect on test day. All right, so testing from home is going to be um, for at times frustrating, at times challenging because of the fact that students are not in the same building with you, and so when they're in the same building with you, you can easily resolve issues. When they're not in the same building, it becomes a task for you to deal with. Okay, so we talked about the student training tutorials. Let's go to number 3. Okay, so when they opened up, when we went here and we opened up this online training tools right here, we got well, let me go back to it. So we got this, and then you were asked to go here. All right, so under this banner, the practice test. So they go here. All right, and this is what you had. Now let's go back to this list where it has number 3. This will open up a list of tests. These are practice tests that would not be scored, but they are similar to the actual tests the students will take. Clicking on a test name will expand the list and provide a selection of levels. The back button in the lower right corner will take the student back to the main menu. From the list, the students should select the grade level of the test that they would like to use for practice. The back button in the lower left corner will take the student back to the list of tests. The student should enter the login credentials shown on the login page. The login credentials from the test ticket provided by the student's teacher should not be used to access the online training tools. The online training tools provide detailed instructions for testing and allow students to explore the tools available when they are taking the actual diagnostic test. The student can try testing in different content areas. When the student finishes practice, they can use the back button on the list of tests to return to the main menu. All right, so let's go back to number 5. It says the student should enter the login credentials shown on the login page. So let's go back and see what they're talking about here. So I'm going to go back to this part here where they would go to. So if I click on grades 3 through 8, and let's say I click on math, and then let's say it's grade 7. All right, so I click on that, and then you see that username and password, that's the login information they would enter. So that's what they're talking about there. And you see the back button they're referring to, so they click the back button. Just remind, before I go to click the back button, make sure you understand that login information they're referring to is this. So the username would be this. And now, I don't think for this information that the username is case sensitive for the online training tools. Um, but just remind them the students to enter it as they see it, and then the password is here. Now the password may or may not be case sensitive either, so just something to enter it as they see it, and then they would sign in. So that they would say math, and the username is usually never case sensitive. So let me just type it in like this just to see what happens. And now the you see the test for the diagnostic, I mean for the online training tool, I don't think it's case sensitive, so I'm going to just check it. I'm going to just do uppercase for those and see what happens. So I typed in uppercase TST, and then yeah, it works. So the password is not case sensitive either. All right, and then they would continue like you remember seeing this last year for the online training tools. I'm going to go back to this information here. So we talked about the back button. So let's go back and see this. So the back button, let me go ahead and exit this. So yes, exit. All right, so you see this back button, let's click on here. And so it brings them back to this. And then you see this, there's another, I don't know if you saw this because of the screen. So you see right here, let me bring this up. So, okay. So, okay, you see this back button right here? You can see it now. So if I click on this, it brings them back to this part. That's what they were referring to right here, the back button. Okay, so let's talk about taking the test. All right, so listen carefully to this. So now this is the actual diagnostic test. So when instructed by their teacher, the student should follow the steps below to take the diagnostic test. So using Google Chrome browser, the student would go to, and this is what they would click on. So let me just click on it right now. I'm going to open it up in a new tab. Open up a new tab, and then it shows up way up here. So I think it's this one here, right here. Okay, so this is what they would see the student. So the teacher would need to give the student their username and the password for this test. So I'm going to go back to this part here. The student should have the following materials available before beginning the test: the test ticket, which would be provided um, by you, or if the teachers are allowed to create the test ticket themselves, then you would not be responsible for this. But so they would need a test ticket though. The students would need scratch paper, pencil, and then a calculator is only allowed on appropriate math sections, and then the math reference sheet. To access the math reference sheet for the test, the students should click on this when logging into the test, on this symbol. And then the students would enter the login credentials from the test ticket provided by their teacher, and the students should then follow the on-screen instructions to complete their test. So remember again that these tests are done remotely, so when issues happen with a student in their house, it's not very evident right away that there are issues. So it's important that teachers um, keep track of which students have completed the test and which have not. Those that have not, they would need to contact that student and or parent depending on the grade level. Okay, let's talk about tips and reminders. So if a student needs a short break during the test administration, such as a bathroom break, they should click on the pause button. A countdown appears on the screen which keeps track of the time left before the system automatically exits the test. If a test is not resumed within 20 minutes, so remember when they do the pause, they have 20 minutes to come back. If a test is not resumed within 20 minutes, the student will be exited from the test automatically. However, the student can sign back in to finish the test using the original login credentials provided by their teachers. So you know that's going to happen. Students are going to stop the test, and then for, some of them may forget about the fact that they are in the process of taking a test. So just tell the teacher that if this happens, just inform the student to go back and use the same login information. Okay, parents, guardians, or other adults can assist a student during testing if they have difficulties with the testing device. If a student has trouble logging into the test or a student has questions about the test directions. However, they should not read the test questions or give clues or hints about the answer. So remember that this is not proctored. So teachers need to, or schools need to um, discuss with parents about the fact that they should not be assisting the students during the test with content. Only the only time they should assist is with the testing device itself. The parent guardian or students should arrange for some time without interruptions before the student begins the test. Students should be encouraged to work in a quiet area without distractions, and most importantly, students should be reminded that it is okay if they don't know all of the answers and that their best effort will help their teacher make plans for instruction. So these are all things. These checks right here about uh, the time that students should take the test or the area in which they should take it without distractions. That's something that schools should have a discussion with parents in with regards to taking tests or quizzes or assessments remotely at home. And I think that's it. So that is the remote access information that I want you to read carefully, discuss this with your principal, and then discuss a way on how you would disseminate this to teachers, and then how you would a plan in which you would disseminate this to parents and students, because ultimately this is being taken at home, and so parents and students have to know how to deal with this. Okay, so that is the end of this task. If you have any questions, please let me know.